प्रभु तव मूर्ति विनोदकारी पलपन विसरे नहीं जो विसारी जुगल चरण सोल चिन्ह जेह नजर समीप रहो हमारी एह नजर समीप रहो हमारी एह स्वामीनारायण भगवान नीजे हरिकृष्ण महाराज नीजे घनश्याम महाराज नीजे सद्गुरुदेव नीजे। Supreme Almighty, the one who has been served by Sarvopari Sant Shri Muktanand Swami, Sarvopari Shri Thakurji Maharaj, Pujya Swami Shri's Divine Guru Parampara, Pathmaker to our liberation, our Pujya Guruji, Pujya Santo, and all of you Bhaktos, Jai Swaminarayan. Today's topic has something to do with our day-to-day life. Something that's, you can't say is specifically religious, but religion can balance this illness very well if dealt with correctly. This topic that we're going to talk about is something that everyone can have. It doesn't have to do with gender, it doesn't have to do with age, it doesn't have to do with intelligence, it doesn't have to do with how skilled one is, it doesn't have to do with anything. It has to do with how you take things in life. This element, if a little occurs in our life, it's okay, it's actually good, scientifically proven. But if a lot occurs in our life, then it can be very, very catastrophic. This is something that not only Loyadham Parivar Bhakto, but also everyone in the world can deal with, everyone can manage, everyone can cope with, if they are given the correct weapons. This very topic is stress management. This is a practical topic that many of us deal with in our day-to-day life, but we don't know what to do or how to manage this stress. We've heard of the word, we may even say it at least once or twice a week in our life. But how can one manage this with the balance of religion inside of one's life? Reading the knowledge given by great, you can say psychiatrists, doctors, is one thing. And given the knowledge by Bhagwan Swaminarayan himself and mixing it with this topic is another thing. Those who are great psychiatrists, doctors, scientists, etc. and so forth, they may give techniques such as yoga, they may give techniques such as playing, walking, doing this, eating this, not eating this. But Bhagwan Swaminarayan gives techniques that are only siddhant based or principle based. One's kalyan can be done, and also one's stress can be lowered just by some very, very simple techniques that we want to take a look at today. So, without further ado, let's get into it. What is stress? Sometimes we'll deal with it in a very heavy way, heavy fashion. May it be with college, may it be with school, may it be with academics, may it be with job, may it be with some kind of illness, may it be with some kind of family trouble. But first we have to identify exactly what stress is. And over here, as you can read, stress is your body's way of responding to any kind of demand, any kind of demand. It can be caused by both good and bad experiences. The main thing is, as I mentioned before, how you deal with things in your life. That can cause stress, or that can pretty much not cause stress. For example, your SAT exams, which are a very, very big score that is very, very much determines your college and your future's, you can say, destination. The college you may end up going to is very much weighed upon your GPA and also your SAT or ACT scores, which they take in junior and senior year of high school. Now, upon knowing that you have these examinations coming up, you hear from your friends, oh, they're very difficult. You hear from other teachers that you better study. All these kinds of thoughts, all these kinds of words are thrown at you. And how you deal with those words determines your level of stress. May it be high, if you're a very stressful person, or if you take those words very, very weighted, or may it be where you know what to do, you have a game plan, and you're not going to take it as heavy, but you're going to take it more lightly. Due to that, your stress level will also be lower. This is just one example I gave. It can be with work, it can be with social life, it can be with anything. But the main thing is how you take the world as it comes at you. And it can be bad experiences and it can be good experiences. I give you something which is more on a good experience side. It's just how you take it. And bad experiences may be some kind of illness, some kind of tragic incident, accident, so on and so forth. When that comes at you, how do you take it? For example, in our day-to-day life, we can examine that when something small happens which disturbs our habitual life, our day-to-day life, we tend to become a little disturbed. And so in our mind we become a little bit wavered from our goals. May it be small goals, may it be big goals, may it be short-term goals, may it be long-term goals. Now, that disturbance is a factor of stress, may you believe it or not. Nonetheless, it's also a lack of samjhan or understanding. If that kind of samjhan or understanding is developed in one's mentality, which we're going to look at in a spiritual context, then automatically you would start to take things more on a positive and lightly basis than you would have if you didn't have this kind of understanding. So now we want to go with some of the causes and some of the reasons for this stress. And what does it do? What does it do in our life? That's what we want to know. So without further ado, we would like to take a look at the next slide. Results of stress. Now, obviously, it's said scientifically that 90% of illness and diseases are related to stress. And as you can see the list here, anxiety, obesity, heart disease, diabetes, depression, gastrointestinal problems, asthma, so on and so forth. Why I'm laughing is because when I said the one with gastrointestinal problems, our Dada here also displayed that on a practical basis. That's why. But these are some of the results of stress. And if you fall into some of these categories, even one of them, yes, you do have certain level of stress. May it be high, may it be low, but most likely all these kinds of issues deal with a little more on the medium to high level of stress. And this is all physical, as you can read here, except the depression part. Depression has to do a little bit with psychology, but everything else is more on a physical basis. And nonetheless, when you think about it, even out of all these mentioned here and some more, etc., one of them exists in your life on a very, very minute level or on a very great scale, depending on your stress levels. So when we want to look at the factors that cause these stress, if we understand the factors that cause these stress, then we would be able to remove them. And if we remove this stress, then we'd be able to become happy, blissful, very, very disturb free, very, very active in the spiritual path. So looking at the next slide, factors that cause stress in one's life, as you can read right here: academic stress, of course, school. And if we deal with one of them, school is something that is very, very high, and even scientifically proven, students that have a very much rigorous work ethic, a very much strict, disciplined life, and are expecting the best of the best results, are also those students who commit suicide. This is not something that is a topic to bring up, but it is a fact and we have to mention it, because that's the only way we can understand that I shouldn't keep academic stress, because it's going to cause more damage to my psychological, mental perspective. So school is something that is a great, great deal. Nonetheless, procrastination. Waiting till the last minute to do homework, projects, study for exams, etc., so on and so forth. And quizzes and projects, major projects, essay papers, thesis, everything like this, assignments, we tend to procrastinate on. And that procrastination causes anxiety, depression, mental disturbances because of the level of stress. Automatically think about it. You have a 10-page essay paper due. You were given it a week ago. Due to social affairs, you kind of push it off till the last day. And now you find out that it's not as easy as it looks. There's more research that you need to do. There's more sources that you need. There's more thinking that needs to be done in order to get the score you want, or in order to get a passing score. But it's too late now because it's due the next day. You think about options of trying to get an extension from your professor or teacher. You know that he's very difficult, so he might not give that. That causes even more stress. And then finally you write the paper, finish the 10 pages, submit the paper, and after a week or so, you get the results, which obviously you don't expect because you procrastinated, and that causes even more stress. So procrastination is definitely a factor that causes stress in life. Peer pressure. Peer pressure is something also that we deal with because of the friends that we have or the friends that we make, and they expect you to do something else. You want to do something else, but they sway you in such kind of a way that causes stress and anxiety in your life, which may alter in your spiritual balance as well. Social relations, friends, and so forth. And those kinds of relationships cause stress in the way where you're expecting something else from this person, or you're expecting to become more engaged with this person, yet you have some kind of stress that, or a feeling that there's a distance that can also cause stress. Parental pressure, of course. Parents have high expectations for students, for kids like yourselves, that they should get the best grades, and especially in Hinduism, I can say best grades possible, best life, so much pressure in a way where you should always be like this at this time. It's such a rigid molding that you have no way to maneuver or do anything freely. And due to that parental pressure, stress is developed in one's life because you cannot meet or match the expectations that are given or completely strictly you can say abided by your parents. They want you to do this, and they want you to do this like this. So to those parents also watching, please do not put too much pressure on your child. You may not know it, but it is causing some kind of psychological stress and anxiety, which can be an effect in their health and their mental perspective. And finally, disease or illness. Of course, obviously where there is life, there's also death. It's a given factor. And, in our family, our close family, we know, may it be our friends, if someone has a disease, if someone has an illness, we tend to become worried. And we know that it's not in our hands to cure a disease, cure cancer. Even scientists haven't cured cancer. So then who are we? Or heart disease, or so on and so forth. Yet we take it upon ourselves to do as much as possible, which is an obligation as a child, or as a brother or a sister, or a parent, or so on and so forth. But definitely, it's not something that is in our hands to remove. That's only in the hands of Bhagwan. So, mentioning Bhagwan, now we would like to take a look at how this kind of stress can be removed from Bhagwan Swaminarayan's perspective. And there's 3 solutions to removing. We would like to look at the next slide, please. 3 solutions to living a stress-free life. And the first solution on the next slide is learn to not be afraid of problems or failure. Pressure is very much high in society, and one feels that if one fails or if one encounters a problem, automatically one becomes very, very anxious, very, very stressed out. Not having a job and unemployed for a long period of time, you have a family to provide to, what to do, such kind of anxiety and stress builds up. But in this, what is the solution? How to not be afraid? Find the good of the past failure and all negative experiences. Sometimes what happens is that when something negative happens to us, or when we fail, we kind of don't find the good in it. And that's very difficult to do. But sometimes, let me give you an example. Suppose that you are on a highway driving. You are going to a 6 o'clock sharp meeting that you need to be at without any excuses. If you do not attend this meeting, you may be laid off or fired from your job. Let's put it, that's a very high stake, right? Especially when you have a lot of obligations in your life with family and mortgage and car insurance and all that good stuff. Now, you're driving and you're a very, very punctual person. So you know that your house is 30 minutes away from the meeting site. So instead of leaving at 5:30 or 5:20, you leave at 5 o'clock. Just so you know, if you hit traffic, you still have a little bit of cushion time to reach that area, so you're not late and you can get the job done. What happens is, ahead of the road, that highway that you use on an everyday basis, an accident must have occurred. And due to that accident, the traffic is backed up so much that instead of 6, you get out of that traffic at 7 and the meeting's already over. Now you reach the area, you try to explain, but there is no more explaining because you already knew the penalty, which is laying off or getting fired. And that's it. They give it to you that right now we don't need you. We told you to be at the meeting. There's nothing you can say about this, because even if you say that there was an accident, they could have said you should have left earlier. Well, how do you know there was an accident or there was going to be an accident? You can't do anything about it. But in that situation, how can you take it? Here's how you can take it in a spiritual perspective. What if Maharaj saved me and I could get another job, no problem. But what if I was in that accident? If I was in that accident, I wouldn't even be here. I have a chance to get another job because I have my life still in my hands. But if I got hit, or if I was in that tragic accident, then there would be no job, there would be no layoff, there would be no unemployment, there would be no life. So Maharaj saved me, saved my life by giving me unemployment, but also giving me life again. This is a spiritual perspective. You see, you can take it in that way, or you can take it in the other way, that unbelievable. I do puja, I go to Mandir, I worship God, I do Sansamagam, I read the Vachanamrut, I do everything, I do Mara, I do Danvat, I do everything. Yet, why didn't Bhagwan look after me? Why didn't Bhagwan look after me? Why did he let this happen? You can also look at it in that way. But it's how you put your lens on and how you look at things. That's how your stress levels can determine high-low. But don't be afraid of failure. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of many times Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, is it? Yes. 1,000 times he tried, he got it 1,001 time. Think about it. He wasn't afraid of failure. Due to that, he didn't have stress. He had enthusiasm to keep going. In the same way, number one factor is learn not to be afraid of problems or failures. Live by understanding Je thai imarad ni ichha ti thai che. By the wish of God, everything happens, according to the Vachanamrut Gadada, last chapter 13th. This understanding is in Gadada, last chapter 13th Vachanamrut, and whatever happens, happens for a reason. Without a reason, it wouldn't happen, but Maharaj's Ichha is my Ichha. That Vachanamrut is Gadada, last chapter 13th, and the number one factor is not being afraid of any kind of situations. Let's look at the second factor. Don't exceed what you can't do. Sometimes we tend to become Superman, but we're just a super baby. We tend to take on the world. We tend to take on more things on our plate. We can only eat 3 slices of pizza, but we feel that we're so hungry, we put 6 slices of pizza in our plate. You probably know whoever fasts totally the next day is like a savage day. Like in the morning, it's just like, I'm going to destroy this. Like, now you have a perspective that I'm going to eat this much food, but you don't know, or you forget that your stomach is right now this small size as to regular size because of the upvas or the fast. So you just keep putting in, but you're not even halfway on your plate, and you still have half the food remaining, and you become completely full because you exceeded your limit. In the same way here, when we push ourselves to do more than what we are capable of, we tend to think that everything revolves around us. I can do it. This can only be done by myself. If I wasn't here, it would not be done. All these thoughts. Without me, it's not possible. My name is Mr. Possible. Things like that. That I was here, and due to that, this happened. If I wasn't here, it would be all screwed up. Such kind of thoughts. Then we fear being ridiculed, so we try to be perfect. This would eventually lead to stress. So don't exceed what you can't do. If I can eat 3 pieces of pizzas, 3 slices, I should not try to eat 5 or 6, because that's exceeding my limit. I should only eat, if I can only eat 5 idlis and 3 dosas, Vinayji, I should not try to eat 15 idlis and 6 dosas. It's just not possible. And even if I tried to, I'm going to throw up, number 1, or number 2, I'm going to have very, very bad gastric problems. But putting the humor aside, it's very important to deal with the second factor. First factor was Bhagwan's Ichha is my Ichha. Without Bhagwan's Ichha, it's not possible. Second one is, don't exceed what you can't do. That is understanding that do not try to exceed, or do not try to think that I will be able to do more than one's capacity. And let's look at the final third factor in the next slide. Let go of the past and move on. Let go of the past and move on. Dwelling in the past can get you really, really messed up psychologically. Putting it very, very straightforward to you. We've made mistakes, yes, but is it the end of the world? We tend to, or we have done something that is against Bhagwan's wish. Is it the end of the world? We were like this before, and now we're like this. All these things living in the past will also cause stress because of some kind of psychological damage done previously. So number 1, how? Learn how to accept things for what they are. Sometimes what we do is we want to kind of become blind in certain situations. We don't want to accept things. We want to kind of believe that, oh no, it's not like this, it's like this. We want to put it into our mind that, I'm not like this, but I'm like this. But in reality, if one accepts how one is as is, that will definitely lower one's stress. Number 2, letting go is to be grateful for the experiences that made you laugh, cry, and helped you become the person you are today. Letting go. Be grateful. Be grateful. God has given us everything. If He hasn't given us a mansion, if He hasn't given us $1 million, if He hasn't given us nice luxurious cars, or if He hasn't given us nice clothes, or if He hasn't given us the finest foods in the world, He has given us a human body. He has given us 2 eyes. He has given us 2 ears. He has given us the capability to think. He has given us His form. He has given us His Ekantik Satpurush's Samagam. He has given us this Loyadham Parivar. Then why not think more on that instead of thinking of what you don't have? That can also lower stress. And third and finally, in the end, it's all about accepting and embracing life's given challenges and overcoming them. If you accept your challenge, then you'd be able to overcome it. But if you cannot accept your challenge, or you can say disturbances, then there is no overcoming. It's kind of just, it's going to overcome you. So, off of these 3 sub factors, the main third factor is let go of the past and keep moving. Keep moving forward, keep moving stronger, stay enthusiastic, look at life positively, and due to that, stress will be completely, we can't say gone, but on a very, very low percentile, which will not affect your mental perspective or your physical perspective in life. Moving on to the next slide, I have this image here. As you can see, if you can try to figure it out, let's see. Now, probably knowing where does it start from? Well, it's just all big. It's a lot of circles and a lot of arrows, but it starts from the top right. Do you have a problem in your life? Okay. If you go on the left, it's no. Then why worry? That's easy. But if you do have a problem in your life, which is 99.9% of the people in the world, yes. Can you do something about it? There's 2 roads to that. No and yes. Both roads lead to the same question, then why worry? If you can't do anything about it, why worry? And if you can do something about it, why are you worrying? Do you have a problem in your life? Yes. Can you do something about it? No? Then why worry? Can you do something about it? Yes? Then why are you worrying? Make sense? Yeah. So instead of trying to overcomplicate things and trying to make things more than they really are, Santos also, teach us, don't make a granule into a cloud. Keep the granule at its shape or at its size and make clouds into granules. But do not make granules into clouds. Meaning, don't make the small things into great big things, putting a lot of weight on yourself. And those things that you think are very, very great and very, very heavy, make them into a granule that can also be on your palm. So it's all about the thinking process, and it's all about the understanding. And due to that, on a worldly basis, this last graphic that I have in the next slide deals with how you can manage stress by going to the spa. I don't know who does that. Exercising, yes, definitely. Hobbies, building cars, hobbies of doing puzzles, that can lower stress. Whatever hobbies. Meditation, that's a spiritual perspective. Definitely meditating upon Bhagwan's form, doing Mansi Pujas will definitely lower your stress. Yoga definitely will lower your stress. Nature, walking in nature, admiring the beauty of the world, trees, greenery, definitely lower stress. Time management, very important, very important. Managing your time and thinking that, everyone has 24 hours. No one has 25 hours in the world. They will never have 25 hours. But you thinking that you can do more than you have, that's an issue. If you think about it, if you sleep 7 hours, you still have the remaining time, the 17 hours, to do a lot of things. People can do a lot of things in 17 hours. Some earn millions of dollars in 17 hours, and some can barely, do anything in 17 hours. But thinking about how you want to take your day and dividing it, you can get a lot of things fulfilled in a short, efficient time manner. Music, yes, music is definitely a stress managing factor. Singing, playing instruments, doing anything and everything in that musical perspective, psychologically proven, scientifically proven. It calms your mental perspective, your nervous system, everything down to such a manner that it can also join you with Bhagwan. None santos in Bhagwan Swaminarayan's time sang beautiful, beautiful kirtans, composed and sang them. And even if we remember them right now and we sing them, that level of stress or the world is forgotten. That's how much beauty, that's how much grace is inside of those kirtans composed by Nand Santos. And therapy, that's only to the extreme. Therapy, psychological therapy, psychiatrist. But if I think we can manage with all these, then we should be fine. At the end, we go to the last slide, and I leave you with a quote here from the last slide. The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. And the equal sign is Maharaja's Karta Panu. Believing Bhagwan Swaminarayan to be Karta, Akarta, Anyatha Karta, everything and everything, that stress is completely vanished. And this is from the Vachanamrut. Understanding Bhagwan's Kartapanu according to Gadada, middle chapter 21, is the reason for one's kalyan and also is the reason to relieve one's stress. It's a 2-in-1 combination. So Bhagwan Swaminarayan, through his Vachanamrut, his philosophy, his principles, has not only given us spiritual content, but has also given us how to live a stress-free, a very healthy life through his principles. So even if we take a dive into the Vachanamrut or the Shikshapatra or the Satsangi Jivan or any kind of Sampradayic scriptures, we would be able to live a healthy, stress-free life because it's all connected to God. That's the main thing. And Bhagwan is obviously stress-free, so by connecting ourselves to Bhagwan, we also become stress-free. So may we pray to Bhagwan Swaminarayan, our divine Guru Parampara, to help us live a stress-free, healthy life, to not only live a very, very good life on this earth, but also to live a very, very good spiritual life and to attain Bhagwan's divine abode Akshardham and to experience his bliss forever and eternally. That's our main goal. So for those who are especially students, high schoolers, college students, or those who are working and having such kind of issues, this presentation can definitely help you in curing your stressful life, and by using techniques that Bhagwan Swaminarayan has shown us in his Vachanamrut, and becoming and staying very happy. Saying this, my humble Jai Swaminarayan.